You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Being frozen out.
Facing an extinction level event.
We don't fight this fight right now. You're not going to have black owners. Folks, one of the things that we have been doing here on Roland Martin Unfiltered is we have been focusing on economics, business opportunities, and what happens when we are frozen out of being able to participate in the billions that are developed, spent, and earned in this country. We've covered several times black McDonald's franchisees who have been suing the company, saying they have been systematically eliminated as owners and operators of various stores. We told you last week about Herbert Washington, who filed a lawsuit against McDonald's, saying that he was systematically hurt by the company. He joins us right now along with his attorney, Kevin Conway. I'm glad to have both of you on the show. Herb, first and foremost, you played Major League Baseball. You were very competitive in that. We have Herb on the phone. We have Kevin via video. Herb, you played Major League Baseball, did very well there. Then you chose to go into business. At one time, you owned more McDonald's franchisees than any other African American. But your lawsuit alleges that all began to come crashing down. And you say McDonald's was really helping white franchisees put you out of business.
Hey, Roland, thanks for having me, man. I'm a fan. I haven't seen you in a couple of years when you visited us at the National Black McDonald's convention in Houston, man. I remember your
yes,
talk
indeed.
that you gave. It was very and powerful. But to your question, yes, absolutely. There's a two-tier system in McDonald's whereby white operators, and the system is set up so that white operators can flourish at the expense of black operators. More specifically, in McDonald's, here's what happens. White operators have lower rents, their sales are higher, their cash flows are higher, and black operators are relegated in large part to inner city restaurants that are tougher to run with higher costs associated with them. My counterparts don't have that. So that when it's time to sell your restaurant and many operators are exiting the system, if you have a store, let's say in Buckhead, and you have the store somewhere else that is not as you're going to get less for it. And in most cases, you're doing less volume. So when you combine those things and you go to exit McDonald's, believe it or not, most black operators leave the McDonald's system broke. That's right. Most black McDonald's owners leave the system broke.
I want to pull in Kevin right here. Kevin, this is not the only franchisee who is suing McDonald's. There are a number of others. The number of black McDonald's franchisees has dropped significantly in the past 20 years, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. In recent history, there was upwards of 388 black operators, and it's down to 186. And you have this recent administration in McDonald's who has gone to triple the cash flow gap between local stores and black stores. Also, at the same time, you have corporate America, corporate McDonald's, going from 42 black executives down to 7, all within this most recent administration.
Kevin, I think you're touching your microphone when you're moving there, so it's actually blocking what you're saying, and so it was hard to make that out. And so, if you could just again lay it out again where you said the number of franchisees, how they have dropped in the past decade or so.
Sure. Yeah. The black operators have dropped in recent history from 388 to 186. So it's been about a drop of almost half of the African American representation in the McDonald's system. And I was saying the most recent administration of McDonald's, the cash flow gap between black operators and white operators has tripled. So now we're looking at upwards of $700,000 to $900,000 less for a black-led operation than a white-led operation, because this is a case of redlining black operators into inner-city stores that are low volume, and they're in impoverished communities, and they require security and more upkeep than the high-volume stores out in the suburbs. And when black operators try to get the stores in the suburbs, McDonald's has the right of first refusal to block that.
Herb, McDonald's says that the real issue here was that you were facing business challenges, that they invested significantly in your organization and tried to help you. They also said, quote, "This situation is the result of years of mismanagement by Mr. Washington, whose organization has failed to meet many of our standards on people, operations, guest satisfaction, and reinvestment." Your response to that McDonald's statement?
Absolutely. You know, here's what I would say to you, Roland. I've been a McDonald's owner-operator for 40 years. You don't keep a bad actor around for 40 years. I don't care if it's your relative. If they're bad, they have to go. And it wouldn't take you 40 years to recognize that they're bad. If you were to take a look at my track record didn't start to, by McDonald's account, to go astray until the new administration came in, which is Steve Easterbrook, who McDonald's discharged because he was having sexual relationships, allegedly, and they let him go. And he was the CEO of the company. And his number two guy, Chris Kay, who is now the president of McDonald's, okay, it all started then. And you know why it started? It was a major reinvestment push in McDonald's. And most McDonald's look beautiful now. And in Ohio, I was the last person to sign the document to go forward. And the reason is because I was concerned with how do I pay for this reinvestment. And McDonald's couldn't tell me how much it was going to cost me. And I said on numerous occasions to vice presidents and everyone who would listen, would you move into a house and not know what your mortgage is? And that's what McDonald's was asking me to do. Now, when it comes to reinvestment, McDonald's has not given me one penny, no, let me take that back, of relief. Most recently, McDonald's took a look at black owner operators to take a look at how they could help the cash flow gap that I spoke of earlier. So McDonald's came to Herbert Washington. We had a meeting. And at the conclusion of that meeting, Roland, take a guess at how much money they offered me.
How much?
It amounted to, over the course of a year, $6 per store per day. And it was on one restaurant, of which McDonald's has cited for me to sell by June. So that savings that they said they were going to help me, if I sell that restaurant, then guess what? That goes away also. McDonald's has not helped Herb Washington. They haven't lowered my rent. They haven't paid my bills. None of them. Now, anything that McDonald's has done for me, they've done for the masses. I have gotten no special treatment. Mismanagement, anything they can cite that they might call mismanagement, we can go and cite white operators with similar situations. McDonald's does not like a strong black man speaking up about the systemic racism that's in McDonald's. That's what this is about. don't get hoodwinked on some operation things that they bring up, because you don't stay around for 40 years and run bad operations. You don't do that. Ask McDonald's. Is there racism in McDonald's?
Kevin,
Go ahead.
Kevin, final question. Is it your goal here to be to seek relief solely for Herb, or is it to get McDonald's to change its practices and do right by all of its black McDonald's franchisees?
Yeah, that's an easy answer, Roland. We want a total change at McDonald's in their corporate practices and policies. And we want to hold them accountable for the 40 years of racial discrimination that they imposed upon Herb Washington. So that's an easy answer. It's both. McDonald's needs a total reimagination of what the last stronghold of power looks like, and that's the boardroom. You know, this is the last stronghold of power, which makes it the very last battlefield. And until a black man or woman can feel like an equal on the street and in the C-suite, you know, we're not having real progress. You were talking about business and economic success. This is it right here. This is the last battlefront.
Black female.
Kevin Conway, Herb, go ahead. I'm sorry. Final comment, Herb. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is happening across the country. There are black females that have sued McDonald's. There are former McDonald's owners. There's current McDonald's owners, and there are hourly employees suing McDonald's. At the crust here, McDonald's has a problem with black employees, black franchisees, and we have to hold them accountable, because as goes McDonald's, goes the rest of the industry.
All right, gentlemen, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.